good as theirs.
Takes up a little too much real estate over here.
I'm gonna sit down there by John when you start making his presentation. I just want to sit up here. No. Why don't we just put something right in front of it real quick? I mean, yeah, I wouldn't turn it off. Yeah, there you go. That's good. Thank you.
He's doing that on his own.
Looks like we got a little bit of everything. So you'll be able to watch the presentation too on YouTube. Okay, let's get this meeting going. Okay. Get this party started, right? I'd rather do that in the beginning than right in the middle, right? Okay, here we
Hold it
go.
up so people see what you're drinking.
Yeah.
We're live.
That's it. Dr. Pepper. Okay, here we go. I'd like to welcome everybody to the Committee of the Whole meeting of the Village of Walton Hills, Tuesday, September 20th, 2022 at 7:03 p.m. Roll call.
Councilman Nielsen?
Here.
Councilwoman Brenner Miller? Here. Councilwoman Allen? Here. Councilman Whedon?
Here.
Councilman Spitznagel?
Here.
All council present, along with our law solicitor, who's sitting down in the audience due to the presentation we're going to have from the folks from RITA. Also, our fiscal officer, Angela Reve, is here also. A few residents in the audience. Okay, any comments from anybody related to the agenda items at this time? And as we go through them, you'll be able to comment also. Also want to welcome the residents and anybody else that's watching our live stream. Okay, any comments from anybody on live stream?
Not yet.
Okay. Then we'll move on to item number 4. Item 4 is RITA presentation, and I think we have a few different players here than our agenda. We have Brian Thunberg, I hope I pronounced that right, and Dawn Kuznick, and we'll have them, they'll probably introduce themselves too, and tell us what their positions are, what their relation is with RITA as employees, and also about their presentation. We invited them here tonight. As you know, the Village of Walton Hills collects its own taxes. At one time, we were with RITA, and then we went back to collecting our own taxes. At this time, we'd like to see what our options are out there. So Angela did invite them, along with myself and council, to give a presentation tonight. So I guess we'll turn it over to you two. Yeah, if you got to just come to the mic and, yeah.
Evening, everyone. My name is Dawn Kuznick. I am the government liaison with RITA, and along with my colleague Brian Thunberg, we're both in the member services department. I've been with RITA for 7 years now, and Brian's been there a lot longer. I'll turn it over to you.
Well, good evening, Council President Allen, and Mayor Collegraf, and all distinguished members of council. As Dawn had introduced both of us, we're both with the Regional Income Tax Agency. She kind of gave our tenure with the agency. I've been with the agency just about 24 years right now. So I've been through a lot of changes with RITA. When the village was with RITA, when they transitioned over, and 14 and a half years later, we get another opportunity to see if we can renew that partnership that we had with the village and show the village what Rita has to offer. Where we're at right now, we do have a little bit of a presentation that Dawn's going to go through. You do have packets in front of you as well if you wanted to follow along in case the screen itself is a little off a bit, but you can follow along in your packets. I'm not going to go over everything that's in the packet page by page because I want to be very respectful of your time. However, there are some things that I do want to point out. On the first slide, Rita is still under Chapter 167 of Ohio Revised Code. We are a governmental agency, as we still are since 1971. Our structure is still the same, where we have a 9-member board of trustees that oversees the operation. We have a executive director that oversees the day-to-day operations of the agency. Newly appointed is our former law director, Amy Riggi. She has now taken over for our executive director, Don Smith, who had retired in June of this year. So great transition. Amy's been with the agency for a myriad of years as well. So we're looking for her leadership and what's to come in
Hey,
store.
Brian. Excuse me, just take your name badge, kick your name badge down to the end. Down that way. Yep, there you go.
Perfect.
There you
You were catching the corner.
go. Now we got the whole screen.
Oh,
Thank you.
so just to give you a quick update on Rita, right now, we collect approximately 50% of all income tax for municipalities in the state of Ohio. We have eclipsed 400 municipalities, and we are also set to break another record this year to collecting over $2 billion in local income tax. We're currently in 78 counties in the state of Ohio, and we are talking to other prospective members that may boost that county to possibly 80 coming in 2023. So we're very excited by that. As you know, we still have our Brecksville office. We have expanded to a Cleveland Heights office. We also have an office down in Worthington. We've opened a Xenia office, and we've had our Youngstown office for several years as well. We're very actively looking to possibly put an office in Northwest Ohio. So again, as Rita continues to grow and as we continue to form these partnerships with municipalities around the state, we need to have space and folks, with all that processing we need to do, we need to have everybody in some additional space. But we are currently looking for some office space in Northwest Ohio. The next few slides are a list of all of our services. I'm not going to go through every single service that we have, but there are several things that I want to point out to you, which in my opinion are probably the most important to the agency. Number one, we have a W-2 matching program. And what that does is that essentially we are able to take W-2s from businesses that submit them. So for example, if you have a resident that works in Oakwood Village, the employer submits their W-2s at the end of the year. We take those W-2s and we bounce it against your resident list, against our tax system, determine if they filed or paid or not. Now, we'll be able to use those W-2s to electronically file their returns for them in the event that they become delinquent, because we already have the information. That first and foremost is something that nobody else can replicate within the state. We've been doing it for years. It's been very, very successful. The delinquencies have gone down substantially in most communities. So it's a very, very good tool that we have. Secondly, as you'll see the highlighted item, it's called Modernized E-File. And what Modernized E-File is over the course of time, Rita has partnered with several different software companies. So when they go in to file their returns, if they go to their local preparer and they use Drake Tax System, for example, as their software, Drake not only will file their federal and their state, but it also files their Rita return electronically. So there's no more walking into a CPA's office and not being able to say, okay, well, here's your paper return, make sure you mail it, make sure you get it there on time. It's already done, and the taxpayer walks out and they can either delay the payment or make the payment right there at the office. So again, I'm not going to go through every single service that we offer, but again, we're going to start just touching on some key things. The next Okay, I couldn't see the bottom of it. The next item that I think, again, is very important, and Rita's the only company that does this, is that we also do electronic filing and modernized e-file for net profit tax returns. So again, as companies go in and they have preparers file their returns, and we will show you a list of all the all the tax software companies that we partner with, they're electronically filing their net profit tax returns as well through those same softwares. And we've partnered with softwares over probably the last 10 years right now, and that list continues to keep growing. And we'll show you a little bit of that here in just a few minutes. Also, we have the Fti program, which is our federal tax information. If you're not familiar with that, Rita is fortunate enough to receive IRS information from the IRS, and we use that information again to bounce up against our tax system. And what we're looking for is we're looking for underreporters who may have only filed one W-2, but they really have 2 or 3 W-2s, or maybe they forgot a schedule, maybe they didn't put their Schedule C income in there because of a business. So we're able to use that information in order to identify taxpayers that are underreporters, and maybe they just didn't even file as well. So that's another tool that we use. The reason why Rita is able to use that information or to receive that information, because a long time ago, and it might have been 2008 or 2009, we actually went to Congress, and it was a congressional law that was passed in order for Rita to obtain that information. As you know, in the state of Ohio, only the larger communities or larger cities receive that information. Cleveland, Columbus, Cincinnati, Dayton, Toledo. And the reason being, and the reason behind that is we're looked at as a state by the IRS. So we have more than 250,000 in population. We do service over 2 million taxpayers currently. But that's the reason, and that's what we were able to do. We worked for years to get that information, and we're using it to their benefit. And each municipality sees a very nice, and we'll put some statistics out there, but the revenue that we're getting from the IRS and that we're accumulating is something that the cities and villages wouldn't have otherwise. And again, the next couple pages are just your run-of-the-mill, your gatehouse management, just all of the things that we do for municipalities. So please take your time to go through that. If you do have any questions later on, I'll be opening to any questions. So do we have any questions right now? I'll just kind of ask. I know that was a lot of information to throw at you right at the beginning, but I can open up to questions. Yes, sir.
Do you give residents, is there a program for the residents, they have questions?
Yes.
Can they call you, can you come in?
Yes. I can answer that in a little bit more detail here later on, but the answer to your question is yes. So not only can they come into the Brecksville office, which is 7.4 miles from here, it takes, 12 minutes to get to our office from Walton Hills. So they have that opportunity. They can go online and file as well. They can create a My Account. So if you're familiar with online banking, if anybody's doing that, it's the same thing. You set up login credentials. You can file and pay right online, and that's open 24/7. We do have an IVR system that you can go into, and you can also make payments and check estimated payments as well. Did that answer your question?
Yes.
Thank you.
Brian,
Yes,
real
sir.
quick, the items that you have highlighted in this presentation, are these items that you felt, or are these like items that weren't taking place 14 and a half years ago when we switched?
They were not, Mayor. And
Okay, so I was just curious, because I know you were part of that, so I was
Yes.
just wondering if that's why they were highlighted, to point out some of the services we would be receiving now that we didn't receive at the time we made the transition.
I think collectively, when I looked at all of the services that we provided back in 2006, 7, and 8 to the village, and I look at where we're at right now as far as the services, the staple services are always going to be there. Tax form processing, auditing, and so on and so forth. What I did was I took a look at everything, and I thought, what would be most important to communities, and what's the best benefit that they can get from using Rita services? And in my personal opinion, I'm not going to say that that's everybody's opinion, But in my opinion, when I'm presenting to municipalities and potential municipalities, those are things that I feel that they're going to get the most bang for their buck off of. And that's something that we do very, very well.
Thank you.
Welcome. One of the things that we did highlight is the administrative subpoena. What's interesting about the administrative subpoena, and I don't remember if you were engaged in that service years and years ago. However, the administrative subpoena used to be $8. Well, with COVID, when COVID hit, we've determined that charging only $1 for the subpoena, instead of making people come into City Hall and sitting here for an hour and having people do their taxes, we're getting, number one, the same response, but we're getting more dollars with just sending the subpoena out because they can resolve it before it's their time to come and do the time and location that's on the subpoena itself. So as of 2020, we reduced the subpoena cost to $1 each. And even if it, oh, there we go. Even if it was $8, again, with my tenure with the agency, I've never seen a subpoena program that has never paid for itself. Regardless if it was $8 or $1, municipalities, once they engage in that particular service, you will see, and I believe that the average is for every dollar you spend, you're getting $99 back. So, which is it's a great investment in my personal opinion. These are a couple of the software companies and all those software companies that we currently partner with. You will see Tax Act, and you will also see Intuit. So Intuit is with H&R Block, but it's a product of H&R Block. They have to use the Lacert and the ProConnect in order for them to get that service. So it's not necessarily all of H&R Block. We haven't been able to work through that with them yet, but we continue to work with them on a yearly basis, and we're getting closer and closer. But I did want to bring the Intuit out because it is a product of H&R Block. And at the bottom, you will also see all of Rita's e-file services. We have our e-file, we have what we call Fast File, which we just introduced that a few years ago. And what that is you don't need login credentials any longer to go ahead and electronically file your returns. It is an online application. However, you do have to put all of your information in. Again, you're just entering it in the system and it's electronically filed for you. We do still have PDF forms and we still do have manual forms for those that like to put, pencil to paper and do it. Believe it or not, we have a hard demand for municipalities to send out stock to get them to the municipalities because people come in and they grab packages. I don't know what they do with them, but okay, we'll get them out to you. Rita has redesigned our entire website. This is the second time that we've designed it. It's completely user-friendly. It's much more, it's very easy to negotiate, and we put a lot of information on there. And some of the things that I'll talk about, this is just the homepage to it. One of the things that we did is, in the next slide, I believe it is, that we put every Rita municipality out there, and then we put links to those municipalities. And then what it is, it's a splash page, which is the next page. So when you click on the city of Brecksville, when you click on any other municipality, it gives you the city, the county that they're in, a link to their website, the start date that they were with Rita, the last 7 years of what their tax rates are, and then also some special notes and documents that otherwise you could be searching for forever. So we'll put your tax ordinance out there, your pre and post HB5 ordinances, and anything that's specific to the village of Walton Hills. Maybe you don't tax under 18, or maybe lottery and gambling winnings are not taxable. Whatever those little provisions are, we pull those out because we do a thorough review of your tax ordinance and just making sure that you're compliant with 718, which I'm sure you are, but we do that cursory review once we go through that process itself. So again, something very new, something very fresh, something very different. We've gotten a lot of compliments on it, good and bad. I mean, there's, not everybody's going to like it, but I think it's very easy to navigate through. And I think what we put out there is so much information that people can, it's a lot of self-service to folks. This is just a little bit of us saying, we're continuing to add on municipalities in 2021, and in 2022, kind of where we're at. Actually, there's a couple of them that are not even on there in 2022 yet, because we do have a few folks that are going to be starting October 1st, and I believe that there is one that's starting on January 1 of 2023 already. So again, you can see our footprint in the state is very large. Again, it's not huge cities. Rita's wheelhouse and what we specialize in are communities of your size, somewhere in the $4 million range, a few thousand people, 3,000 to 5,000 in population. And that's kind of like our bailiwick, because as you can see, we have small cities just like Ada, or you can have, a large community such as Euclid. So we're able to, that's a great balancing act for us as well. So, we look at every community, we make sure that, we're doing everything that we can for every size community, and we treat every community the same, regardless of your size. These are some of your neighbors. Everybody's on the list. So, in Cuyahoga County. So again, this is, I feel confident that, what we present to you, and as you deliberate, and I hope that, we can, also renew that partnership with the village, and, we can get you guys on board and do some great things for you. But that was just a snippet of what who your surrounding communities are, which I'm sure you're pretty much aware of that. Customer service, I know Brian had asked about customer service. Rita now offers, and again, this is something that we didn't offer years ago, which are two types of customer service. Not only do we think that your constituents are important, but we know that your administration is important too. So we have our taxpayer customer service, we have our walk-in locations, we have the enhanced e-filing capabilities, the modernized e-file, the call center, the online taxpayer assistance. And one of the things that we did because of COVID is that we did a drive-up and drop-off over the last several years. We did it the week of filing season, so taxpayers could prepare their returns and drive up, drop it off, we give them a receipt, and they're on their way. And all that stuff is done in real time, so taxpayers, as they're bringing their information in, we're bringing it inside, and we're having the auditors electronically file their returns. So they can, I was there, I was involved in that process, and hundreds of people were coming in on a daily basis just to drop in off their returns, and they love the service. So again, understanding that you have a local service and you have a service that you're providing right now, we're just a neighbor down the street. And I don't think it would take too much for people to, they drive 10 or 15 minutes to go to Kohl's or Walmart or wherever it is that they're going. I'm sure if they wanted to drop off their taxes, they could surely do that. And I'm sure we're going to be doing that again this year.
If I may, also too, with the drop-off service, they don't necessarily have to have a return prepared. They just give us their documents, their tax documents, that we choose, copies of their federal return of just first page. We will prepare it for them. So they don't need to actually fill out our paperwork. We'll give them a sheet that they fill out with their name, and they sign it, and we give them a receipt that they turn it over to us. They don't necessarily have to have something.
Can they mail it in?
Yes.
Thank you.
You can still mail it.
Absolutely. They can
Like,
mail it in. They
Mail
can
in
even-
W-2s is what I'm saying.
They
Like,
can even mail in their W-2s. Again, they don't have to have a completed form, just the form with their name and their address, and sign it at the bottom, and then.
Thank you. Secondly, we talked about the customer service with the membership. So Dawn and I are in the member services department. We actually started member services. It was myself and our old chief of tax, who is now retired. And we thought it was a great idea for not only the taxpayers have customer service or customer support, but also the administration. So what we've been able to do is we've built our department from 2, and now we're at 10 since 2013. We do have 6 government liaisons throughout the state, and everybody has a different section of the state that they work with. Dawn and I are here in Northeast Ohio. Also, we take care of a little bit of Northwest Ohio as well. But again, you have a direct point of contact for anything that your fiscal officer needs. If the administration needs something, then you have a direct point of contact. We do all of your ordinance reviews for, it's just something that's part of what we do. So if there's any legislative changes, you don't have to do anything. We do the changes for you, and essentially we'll tell you, change this section in your ordinance and you're done. We'll take care of everything else, just pass it. And we do the ordinance reviews. We also obviously do the projections and, excuse me, and analysis. One of the things that I did see is that construction projects is something that we work very closely with our municipalities with. So if you have a large construction project, which I see that you have going on right now, where the old stamping plant was, that's something that not only would we come on site and talk to the general contractors, but we would ensure that the general contractors provide us a listing of all the subcontractors, so we could basically gauge how much money you should be receiving from that job. We do have an entire department that works on that, because sometimes municipalities think that, it's $100 million job and I'm gonna get 2% of $100 million. No, you're not gonna get that, you get a fraction of that, because most of that's labor. But that's all built into what we do and how we're able to follow up on that. And then we can also produce reports on either a monthly or quarterly basis on the progress of those particular jobs. So again, that's just something to keep in mind, and that's something that we do as an agency, and that would also run through our department as well. Representation. We do represent all of our municipalities at what I call the alphabet soup groups, which is your OTA, GOTA, SWOTA, blah, 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 all over the state, but we are there. We do go to the OTA meetings, we do go to the GFOAs, we do go to the OMLs. I'll be down in at the OML in October, and I'll also be at the OAPT conference in Geneva in October as well. So we are representing the agency and we're representing our membership. So again, not only is it locally, but it's also down in Columbus and also in Washington, D.C. as well. Customer service, I'm not going to go through all of this, but we do have approximately 200 agents that work for the agency all over. Again, there are a variety of ways that the folks can get a hold of us. The nice thing about it is when your taxpayers call in, we identify those taxpayers by a couple of different things when they call in. They put their social security number in to the system. The screen pops up with their information, and then we verify if that's that person or not. All the calls are now recorded, so we do that for customer service and also for training tools as well. We have customers that call in and maybe say, well, I should have did this, or I did this, or, the negotiating between the taxpayer and the agent is very vital. And we are very, very proud of our agents that are on the phones on a daily basis, and they do take very good care of their customers, of your customers and your constituents. So one of the other things that I wanted to bring up with customer service is before anybody goes on the phones or into the editing or into processing, is they go what I like to call Rita University. They go through this 6-week program even before they get into the phones. So they have knowledge on tax law. They know how to calculate a return. What we're looking for is consistency out of those folks. So once you're consistent and you're giving the consistent answer of what's taxable and what's not taxable, you can call any agent that you want, and you're going to get the same answer. And that's what we're looking for. Once they get through that training process, then eventually they get out on their own, and they always have somebody there, whether it be a colleague or a supervisor that they can always go to if there's questions. We, in member services, if we get a question, maybe somebody calls the mayor and says, I was treated so rudely by this person and blah, blah, blah. We can pull the phone call. I'll listen to the phone call and I can report back to the administration and say, maybe there was really nothing going on, or maybe it was valid. But again, that's the reason why we do it, because we want to make sure that we're providing the best information to those folks that are asking the questions. These are our year-round compliance programs, which is all included in the cost. However, if you decide to do the legal program, I believe that you currently are in mayor's court. Is that how you run your, okay.
Yes, yeah, we have mayor's court, yes.
So again, you can still continue that process if that's the way you would like to go. However, we do offer a legal program, And we can talk about that legal program and how that works. Essentially, it's an account that we set up for you, and all you're doing is funding the account with the small claims, whatever the small claims fee is to file that in court. But you recoup those dollars because, again, with the changes in the law in 2016, you recoup those dollars back from the taxpayer itself. Before that, you were just paying the court costs and you were hoping you were going to get something back. But it's a revolving account, so we do take care of that for you. We do file judgments against the taxpayers. We do put them on post-judgment payment plans, and if they default on those post-judgment payment plans, we do use an outside firm, which is Reimer and Associates. And with Reimer and Associates, they have the ability to file a garnishment, put a lien on property. Obviously, we don't want to see that happen, but unfortunately, sometimes that, a very small percentage of those accounts get to Reimers that we can't resolve because of whatever situation. But the point is that we have a judgment against the taxpayer, so it'll never fall out of statute. These are just some collections departments. We do have a full-time collections department. That is their only job, is to negotiate payment plans with taxpayers. We have about 15 collectors in the department itself, and they're running right about 1,000 accounts each, and everything is automated. So again, as they go through their calls and as they go through their letter series, they're making phone calls every day. They're setting up payment plans. They're negotiating penalty and interest if that's something that the village decides that they do. Some people do and some people don't. We do keep a list of who allows us to authorize penalty and interest abatements, or if there is another process that they have to go through to see if that penalty and interest would be abated or be considered by the municipality. And again, these are just, again, some statistical information with the non-filer programs and the subpoena programs. And again, I do like to say that the cost for the non-filer programs is absolutely nothing. That is something that we do on your behalf on a yearly basis. You do have to sign up for it. That's one thing, because we have to put a schedule together for 400 cities. We got to make sure that we all know who's doing it, who's not doing it. Again, we're in a position where we collect a good amount of money for all of our folks. And again, there's people take advantage of the legal program. Others may want those lists to come back to them. So there's a variety of things that you can do, and that's something that we, as time goes on, we can talk about those options and what you'd like to do. And again, our legal program is essentially, it's a shared cost. So I think that you might go to Bedford Court if you decided to go. Garfield, okay. Garfield Court. So it's a shared court. So essentially it costs $35 an hour for our paralegal to go to court for you. However, because it's a shared court, you can have all those other cities that have partnered with us and are in the legal program. That's split between all the communities as well. So again, from a volume standpoint, I don't know what the volumes are, but we can go to court and we can file 50, 60 cases to where the volume is at the court's appetite, because again, they set the rules on how many court cases we can file. But we're in all of those courts, and you would also be part of that court as well, along with the shared cost. And we talked a little bit about our FTI department. So again, where I'm coming from is we've identified $22 million in 1 year for all of our communities. We collected $25 million. That's $25 million that municipalities would not have if we were not able to have that federal tax information. Now, I'm not going to promise you a windfall of money, but what I am going to promise you that I believe that there are dollars out there that we can look for the village of Walton Hills that can definitely increase your collections. What does this all cost? That's the big question, right? Well, based on where your collections are right now in 2022, and what we feel is a very conservative number, we're thinking somewhere between $72,000 to $79,000, and that is for everything. The other thing that we really haven't talked about is what we also provide back to the municipality. So if there is somebody that's here as your fiscal officer, or another person that you want to retain in a department or part-time or whatever it is, we provide that individual or the responsible individual access to the tax system. So not only can they look up accounts, but they can also electronically file tax returns for your constituents if they decide to come in here as well. We've made that available. We're giving all your taxpayers an opportunity to make it as easy as they possibly can to come in and file returns. In my personal opinion, the percentage is a little bit high. I would look at your cost somewhere about 1.5%, but again, we're being conservative in our number. And as I look back, in 2007, your cost was $56,000. $56,692 is what you paid in 2008. Was the last year that you were partnered with Rita. So the cost hasn't changed very much. Relatively speaking, after 14 and a half years, we're basing it at $4.6 million. And I think that what we would be able to do for the village is increase your services, keep your costs low, and try to generate as much additional revenue as we possibly can for you. Again, it's, why partner with us? We talk about the electronic filing, the MEF, the My Accounts, the IVR, increased collections. Historically, people have seen cost savings, and that's historically. The agency's average cost of collections this year has dropped to a new level. We are at 1.31%. Those costs continue to go down as we continue to partner with individuals, communities, whether they're big or small. They all share in the cost of it, and it's something that we really believe in, and something that we're proud of, that we can offer that to almost 400 communities in the state of Ohio. Next steps, if there are next steps, or if there's other additional conversations, well, first and foremost, council would have to pass joining legislation. Ironically, the legislation has not changed since 1971. The only addition to it was we reduced the retainer back in 2008, which was at 5% at the time, down to 3%. So the structure is exactly the same, the calculation is exactly the same, and the calculation is very simple. It's your transactions versus everybody else's transactions, your collections versus everybody else's collections. That becomes a percentage. You add it up, divide by 2, and that's your cost of collections. It's that simple. It's never changed. I don't think it ever will. Once you get approved by the Board of Trustees, well, we would extend the contracts once you pass legislation. You would get approved by the Board of Trustees at one of our meetings. Probably we would like, depending on your timeline and what you're really thinking, we can talk about that. And I believe that Dawn was kind enough to put a timeline, a rough timeline together for you, and kind of let you know, because again, I'm not sure of what the appetite of council is right now. If it's something that you're looking to transition or partner with us soon, or if there's decisions that need to be made, I don't know the answers to those questions. Dawn and I are here just tonight to provide you information, let you deliberate, and make the best decision that you can for the village of Walton.
With that said, Brian, do you have a timeline? I mean, this is, we don't want to get too deep into it, but it helps, it will help council and the administration and Angela to.
It's in your packet.
It's in the packet?
It is in the packet, but yeah.
Okay.
If there's specific information, like if you're looking for a January 1st start, we would need to move fast as far as passing through.
Okay.
Because then you'll have to let the software provider know you'll be doing Rita.
So what would, we could always talk later, but when you say, so let's say if we just, what are our options? So we have the first of the year, which we'd have to make decisions now. Then where do you go from there? Like, does it matter anytime after that, or is there like deadlines? Do we go to half, then we go to the following 6 months?
Mayor, we can.
Quarterly, or?
We can partner with municipalities at any time. what I'd like to stay away from is interrupting filing season. So usually, the beginning of the year is a great time. I could spill into the month of February if need be. But then the time after that would definitely be July, because again, the filing season is over. And what you don't want to do is you don't want to confuse your residents, and you want to give them the best opportunities to make sure that they know exactly what they're doing. Now, I know that the timeline that was put together was for a January 1 start, and we have worked with your current service provider already, which is MITS. So we're very familiar with the transition. That's a very, and both Dawn and I will more than likely be involved in that conversion process along with Mr. Mao. We'll have him head the conversion if you guys decide to partner with us. But there are some times that we would like to meet in those milestones, because again, we want to get welcome letters out to your residents. We want to notify your residents. You may want to have internal discussions, for a few days and before you make those decisions. But whatever timeline you feel comfortable with, Mayor, is the timeline that we'll work with.
But if we wanted to start the first of the year, we'd have to get it done October, November. I mean, I don't mean to pin you down. I'm just trying to get it.
No, I'll be honest with you. What I'd like to do is, first and foremost, I'd like to have it passed in September. I don't know if you have a special meeting in September or not. I think this is your first one and only council meeting this month.
Correct.
You would essentially probably have to call a special meeting. And the reason why I'm saying that is because we get 3 data extracts from your provider, and we analyze all 3 extracts. So there's different parts behind the scenes that we have to do to make sure and ensure that we convert all of your data correctly. And that's the most crucial part to me, is making sure what we're pulling from your system to get into our system is exactly what's supposed to be there, and all of the accounts are there, and we can get correspondence out to your residents and your businesses in that time frame. If you decided that January is too aggressive, February would be fine. Again, you probably have to pass that in the month of October, at an October council meeting by emergency measure. That way we'd be able to extend the contracts out, we'd be able to move some of the dates around, and it would be still comfortable for us to do that.
Okay.
All right, so I have some questions. So cost is inclusive of our JED, right? You know we have a JED.
Yes. So the JED will be reported as a separate entity.
And then I think I talked about this a little bit with Matt. You're going to do all collections on the JED, but then would we still pay out Sagamore their portion because we?
Yes.
Okay.
So basically, and I don't know how you pay it out, it's either yearly or every 6 months.
We pay it quarterly.
You pay it quarterly. So when that happens, so you're going to get reports from us exclusively for the JED and exclusively for the village. So you know exactly how much money is being allocated to whatever. But yes, you have to do that on
So the
back end.
internal piece we do is still going to stay the same, where we take from the JED and pay ourselves and pay Sagamore.
That is correct, yes.
Because we're the administrator on
Yes.
that partnership.
Yeah, so, whatever it is, 30, 70, I don't know what your split is, but that's something that you would take care of behind the scenes. So monthly, you'll get 2 deposits, once on the first of the month and then once in the 10 days later. And then that would be your month end for the prior month. So you would just take, let's say it's $100,000, you would just take that $100,000 and make your split at the end of the quarter, or if you put it in a special funds account and just pay it out from there on a quarterly basis. Again, that's completely up to you, but we will keep the reporting separate.
And then regarding penalty and interest, the village also does still retain the right to not charge any penalty and interest if they so decide.
That is correct.
Are you notified, or do you have radar to go out and detect when we have new residents, or do we need to let you know when we have new residents?
What we'd like to do is we'd like to make a partnership with your, either your utility department or your building department. That way, and I don't know if the village provides taxpayers a welcome packet, if you would. Welcome to the city. This is who your cable, your electric, blah, blah, blah. Here's all your numbers. I don't know if people still do that or not. But what we like to do is we like to build our registration form into that welcome packet. So that way it forces the taxpayer right at that moment, whether they have to come in or it's mailed, to get that information back to us. Now, we're always doing that, and that's just the faster way to do it. We do identify taxpayers through the state ads program. We still use that. We capture probably 50 to 70,000 different people a year. What the state ads program is, if you're not familiar with it, if a taxpayer files a state of Ohio tax return with an address that is within the village itself and they're not in the system, we're going to create the account and we're going to send them a letter saying, hey, we understand you filed a tax return with the state of Ohio and you're delinquent for 2021 or 2022 for the village of Walton.
Council, anybody on council have any questions?
My question. I had a question about the JED, which I believe was answered with the administrative. We do take a small portion for administrative, so would that cut into that percentage?
Right.
It seems like that answer would be no, since we're dealing with everything anyways, and we would be paying Rita to do that.
Right.
Correct. The collection of the JED itself is going to, again, we'll keep it as a separate entity, and whatever your deposit is at that point in time, and if you're paying an administrative fee, that would not be, seems like it would be almost eliminated to where all you're doing is saying, okay, Sagamore, you get this, and we keep this, and we're done.
We take the administrative.
Yeah, they're paying us the
They're-
administrator.
they're
We take.
We're the administrator
Oh,
on it.
so you could still take your fee?
But, we can, that's legitimized because we are the ones paying
sure.
Rita.
You could-
Correct.
You could probably
Right.
look at.
We're paying that, yeah, what's the difference?
Right.
Whether we pay a third party or we collect it, we're still funding it or managing
You're
it.
still managing the JED, and you're still managing the distribution to the JED.
Right, we'll still hold the yearly meeting and everything else. So,
And again, the JED is also a great opportunity for, and I don't know if anybody on council is part of the JED board itself, but we've gone to JED board meetings. We've engaged with the JED. We've talked to the JED before. I've been engaged with the Boston Peninsula JED for many, many years down in Cuyahoga Valley. So I'm familiar with the boards itself. So if there's ever a need for Rita to come out to a JED board meeting, we would also do that as well.
Whoever within the village would have access to our system, all JED information too, and run reports.
Mayor, you cannot have access.
How?
I'm part of the JED board.
Yeah.
Well, to Walton Hills.
No, I don't. I don't need to.
How does the Ohio MNPT system play in, our nightmare system as tax administrators? For those that have opted into that, how does Rita connect with that system now?
Sure. Well, and you're talking about all the opt-ins.
Right, because theoretically now the distribution's going directly into my bank account, or the village bank account, I should say, but, so, will that change?
It will not change. Unfortunately, because we do not have, the way that it has been set up by the state of Ohio is those distributions, because the state of Ohio is administering that net profit portion, those dollars are still going to come directly to you. Now, the one difference is that Rita will be able to get into the portal because we'll be an authorized user as well as whomever you deem to be that authorized user. And we do get the same reports that you do. So with the net profit opt-ins, it's just going to be, it's still going to be separate from your collections. There'll be a separate deposit on a monthly basis.
Will we still have to enter everything on our end still now?
Yes, you do. The only thing that will change is the Ohio Business Gateway with the OBG, because if you do receive OBG payments, that will be transitioned over to Rita as well.
So those will automatically go to Rita?
Yes. And we do notify all of the major payroll companies prior to the transition to let them know that they have to make the adjustments within their system because ADP paychecks paid for all of those file electronically with us.
Yeah.
So they'll just add on the Village of Walton Hills to that distribution, that electronic distribution on a monthly basis. So if you're receiving any physical checks here at the village, that will go away.
And so then on the note of the business gateway, like right now I have to go in and pull the extracts myself a couple times a month. Just in case our mom pop clients ask, how does that work on Rita's end? Is there like a constant dump of, you know what I mean? Like I may go in on the 15th of the month and then I pull things from the last, beginning of the month and then same thing at the end of the month,
We get those transmissions daily
daily.
from the OBG.
Yeah.
So they're not going to be, they won't be affected by it at all.
But
and
it'll
again,
basically come out sooner. So if I have one client who's like, hey, you always wait so long to take my money out.
Yeah.
Now it'll come out daily for them. They won't be waiting on me to go in and pull
Right,
everybody.
yeah, as they come in, and again, I don't know the behind the scenes process, but I do know we receive those transmissions on a daily basis. So as everybody is filing through the gateway, that day or that night, or when they get their confirmation, it is kicked over to us. Now, one of the things that I will tell you is because Rita does not have a partner with the state of Ohio, we are not affiliated with them at all, we are at their mercy too. So when we notify them that a potential transition could happen, it may take them a little while to flip that switch, if you will. But we do everything that we can. So let's just say if you were transitioning as of January 1 of 23, you may get a file or two still during that transition period. I just want you to be aware of that. But once they make that switch, you won't see anything.
Now, like the MNPT, I have to extract those files and that cash into my bank account. Is that cash automatically flowing to Rita?
Yes.
Okay.
Any other questions from council? Go ahead.
Mayor, I have one question. Yeah, I had a question regarding the percentage model. Is the range, is that set by the RCOG, the regional council or governments, or is that just an internal function of Rita?
It's actually set by the RCOG, so the 3% retainer that we retain through every distribution is actually set by the RCOG. Back in 2008 is the only time that the RCOG that the Council of Governments made a change to that to reduce the percentage, which was 5% down to 3%.
Okay.
And that's part of the contract. So if we have a sample contract, I don't know if I brought one, I don't think that I did, but we can get you a sample of it. So that way you can see the amendment and you can see that that's built into the Council of Governments agreement.
And then the percentage range that you had here in the estimate is 1.54 to 1.7. You said ours might be 1.5. What are some of the factors that determine where a municipality fall on that scale?
Basically, what we do is we look for comparable municipalities around the state of Ohio. So we're looking for population, we're looking for collections, we're looking for types of accounts. And we build basically a comparable database. And we say all these factors play into exactly or very close to what the village of Walton Hills would look like. So we have our team of 6 people that go through this calculation. We all do our own, and then we sit down and we discuss why, this one is a little bit, but I'll tell you what, we're very accurate. We're well within 95% of being accurate. However, like I said, I think that we're a tinge too high just being conservative.
Mhm.
So I do think your cost of collection will be a little bit lower. I will tell you that your average, the last year you were with us was 1.30%. And again, it's going to cost you $56,692. At that time, Rita overall, our cost of collections was 1.88%. So you were well below the average.
Thank you.
Yeah, to add on to that, Dawn made a great point. So we retain at the rate of 3%. Now, at the end of the year, which is part of the calculation to come up with your actual cost of collections, we will do an actual cost of collections, which is the formula that I had mentioned earlier. And if your rate becomes 1.5%, then you get the other 1.5% back in the retainer refund in the following year. So we retain at a rate of 3% for every municipality. We do an actual cost of collection at the end of the year. If you're lower than 3%, then you get a retainer refund. If you're higher than 3%, then we just subtract whatever that difference is out of your August distribution in the following year. And you do get notified of this. We do send you a letter. One of the other things that, maybe your fiscal office would enjoy is we also do your GASB 33 statement for you. So we work with the auditors, we do your CAFR information.
We don't
So
do a
those are
CAFR.
all other
We don't have a CAFR.
items that we do. You don't do a CAFR? Okay. I don't think you're allowed to say CAFR.
Yeah, we don't, yeah. Statutory.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions from anybody on council? Yeah, Brian, why don't you come up to your seat? I think we're done. Are we done with the presentation?
We can turn that off. There's anything there.
Okay, just so it's straight in my mind, it's gonna cost us the 1 point, whatever it is, 5-6%. Plus 3% per year of our collection?
No.
How is that?
So we retain at a rate of 3%. So let's say that your collection for the whole year was $100,000. 3% of that's $3,000. Okay, that's what we retain on. And then when we do the actual cost of collections, if your actual cost is 1.5%, then that's what we would keep, and then we would give you 1.5% back as a refund the following year. Okay. And this year, in 2022 to 2021, we issued over $27 billion of refunds back to our members.
Thank you.
Any other questions from council for Brian or Dawn? Any questions from any residents that are here or watching our live stream? We always got a little delay on the live
The
stream.
live
so-
stream was cutting in and out earlier, and then I mentioned that there should also be sound. I see it moving now, to be honest with you. I can see that it's moving, so hopefully it's not cutting in and out. But the person, it was Lee Nielsen who let us know that we were cutting in and out, but also said she didn't have sound. So I'm hoping that's back up and running. We've had quirky issues the past month.
I did have this meeting taped too, so the meeting is also being taped, just in case we do have trouble with our live stream. I know the contractor is scheduled to come out to make some repairs, so it should get better. Any other questions? And nobody has any questions? Okay, it seems like Brian just said, it seems like the trend is going, I know a few of us were part of the administration, part of council, at the time when we left Rita and collected our own taxes in-house. And I know at that time, it seemed like there was a little kind of going the other way, and now I know the momentum is going back to Rita just because of a lot of the enhancements that have taken place there and stuff, so.
And we appreciate the opportunity, Mayor, and again, I think that, when municipalities make decisions, and I can tell you that since 1971, only 17 municipalities have decided to either collect in-house or more times than not, Mayor, it's a philosophical reason. I can tell you with much certainty that it doesn't have to do with cost, it doesn't have to do with customer service, and it does not have to do with the service that Rita provides. I can tell you that there are municipalities that have left and returned to Rita as well. So again, it could have been a philosophical idea back at that point in time to where maybe they wanted to transition it and that's what would occur. But we appreciate very much the opportunity to explore a new partnership with the village, and we are very excited about what we have coming up in the future at Rita and what we can do for our member municipalities.
The other thing I wanted to point out too is the COVID that everybody basically shut down, but us at Rita, we were able to figure out a way for us to keep going. So municipalities were still able to get their deposits, and we were still able to process the funds, whether it's for business or individuals in this way, the businesses continue to still get their money on time, so there's no lapse in that. So we figured that part out.
Very quickly.
Yeah. Very good. And we're still continuing to evolve, so if something ever happens again, hope not, but, yeah, we have a formula and we still continue to function and get the money sort of running.
We put the substantial capital into the security with Rita as well, as far as how secure our tax system is, and what we have done over the course of time. As you'll see within the packet of services, that we do have what we call hot spots. So if the Brecksville office was destroyed for some reason, everything is already backed up in multiple locations. And we can also dispatch agents out to those different hot spots where within 24 hours, they would be literally back up and running without a beat. I know many years ago, we put a new generator system in. When Hurricane Sandy came through and she knocked everybody out, yeah, we were still working. I remember being in the office with a flashlight, getting distributions out to members. But that prompted the Board of Trustees to look forward and think forward about getting that generator. So we've never lost power. We are very secure. And if you've never been out to the agency, or if you have been out to the agency, I encourage, if you'd like to come out and visit and see it on the property, please, by all means, I would love to show you guys what we've been able to do and how we've transitioned that building, and the systems that we have. It is, my mind, even being a little partial, it is very impressive.
Any other questions for Brian or Dawn? Any questions from any residents? Any questions for anybody live, any residents live streaming?
Nothing on the live stream. We are back up and working.
Well, we certainly want to thank you for coming out tonight and giving the presentation and answering all our questions. And I know as a body here, work well together, and we'll have discussion on it and make a decision.
That'd be great. Well, again, thank you for the opportunity. We do appreciate it, and, we do value the village as a partner, and hopefully what we've presented to you tonight would be a good starting point. And if you do have any questions or anything does come up, please, you have Dawn and I's email addresses, phone number. You're more than welcome to contact us directly. Or if you want to go through Angela, that's completely fine as well. But thank you all so very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. And you're more than welcome to stay for our COW meeting if you would like.
That's what most people say.
Is that our, that's ours, right?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
Everything's ours. Except the laptop.
We'll give you a few minutes. If anyone has to go to the restroom or.
I'm actually going to clear the recorder because somebody left it running, so the memory's full. So
Okay.
I will do that really quick.
All right, we'll just wait a few minutes. Thank you again, Dawn. Thank you, Brian. Watch out for those deer. Yes. There was a deer? Just throw that down, Jennifer. We'll get it. Yeah, we'll get it. Thank you.
I took some turning. I turned in the driveway
Don't,
and there's.
Jennifer, don't worry about it. All right.
All the berry, mulberry trees. Mowed it down.
That was a very interesting stand for the.
Yeah, it's
Like, well, they did have
Guess it's
to
meant to
learn
be
that.
skinny,
Like,
so
yeah, they did.
people can get.
We're on a low budget here.
That's probably
I need more
older
trees
than
there, but I can't.
most of us, I think.
No, I mean, we can't.
Oh, we can't.
I think we'll do it in the COW meeting.
At your pleasure.
Yeah, well, we'll talk a few minutes before, once we,
Well, I was on that,
You know,
like it. Then
maybe
I
we'll
get
just-
a better, sure.
instead of waiting.
Because I know it's a
Makes sense to me.
Yeah.
tree snap at the bottom. If it would have been made.
It was going in and out again?
That's what Angela said. I can't see from the angle that she sits at.
And I was hanging on the end. Ladder was almost bent. It was, trying to get all that tree trimming done before the
October 1st?
Yeah.
Just waiting for Angela. And then we'll start here. Well, this must be yours, Mr. Walton. More stuff to end up on the,
Yeah,
on the clutter.
I hear you, that's why.
I have more paperwork than it's there to have.
More stuff to add to the mountain.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
Now you have two, yeah, you just noticed you have two piles.
Yeah. I keep saying I'm gonna purge.
One item.
Oh, my gosh. Angela Cummins. How are you, Kristen? Pretty good. Is he behaving? Is he? I think we are live streaming, so that was the right answer. That was the, I should have told you that. Yeah, we're all still being recorded. Oh, gosh. It's funny the answer our family members will give to a question like that, or your spouses, or your significant other, everybody. Sometimes I think my worst critics are my kids, you know? Those are, but,
You should watch, mine don't even watch.
Oh, this is a pencil. That's nice. You
Yeah,
got the
that's,
pencil?
yeah, it's a pencil. I heard her say
Angela
that,
just
so I opened
almost
it.
ready, so.
You
So Tom's gonna take,
don't do that
the
for
chief
free,
called
other than sign it,
the
okay?
person we used for that, because he was at the meeting the next day, and put it on the schedule. God, it's so hard to get people out, right, but I think it's a chief.
We had our own guy.
Yeah, we do, we do, he takes care of all the cameras and stuff for the parking stuff.
I'll take care of the camera.
Well, you can,
We're gonna,
that'll be part of the council job then.
yeah.
Don did a pretty good job, though.
I did do a pretty
Did.
good job.
I think
I
had
took,
it-
I took Jennifer's spot, she was getting too much glory last week, so I had to be the one. Oh, gosh.
My limited knowledge of electronics is
Yeah, I think it was,
astounding.
I think it was just a matter of putting it together and saying a prayer, that's what I did. I think we kind of lucked out.
I mean, somebody was offering.
Your tape was better.
So, well, that goes without saying.
Yeah, that's the, I had to use Scotch tape, I don't even know if that's,
But somebody offered to charge me $20 so I can open up an attachment on my
Not
tablet.
charge you. Just relieve you.
yeah, that's fine.
Because it's transfer stuff over, it's taking a
Yeah,
minute.
that's fine.
Okay, thanks.
We can still do
Absolutely.
the minutes from,
Oh, I can,
yeah.
yeah. Okay.
All right, we're still continuing our COW meeting. I do know we have the legislation as the next item on the agenda, and then we have other business. I know we do have one of our residents here tonight. along with his wife, and he kind of wanted to give a little presentation to us. I think it's a very good thing. I know Councilman Raymond Whedon called me today, and we discussed it a little bit, about him coming to the meeting tonight. So I'm going to give you the option, Joe. And I know you've been here a while. You probably would you like to do it now in this meeting instead of the council meeting? It really doesn't matter. Okay. Yeah, I mean, this way you can get out of here too and stuff. Unless you want to stay, you're more than welcome. So I'm just going to make a motion. Can we make a motion just to move other business up to item 5 above the legislation? Would that be the right thing to do? Okay. Is there a motion?
Second. Oh,
Wait, we're going, you
make a motion? I'll make the motion.
second, Mary Brown.
Mary will second.
All right.
Vote on the motion.
Councilman Nielsen?
Yes.
Councilwoman Brenner Miller?
Yes.
Councilwoman Allen?
Yes.
Councilman Whedon?
Yes.
Councilman Spitznagel.
Yes.
What we're doing is I'm going to let the resident explain what they'd like to do, him and his wife, and so we moved up other business to allow them to give that. So we got the mic for you. You just want to introduce yourself, Joe, and your wife, and just kind of.
Well, I appreciate you, the members here at the council to allow us to come here and speak on behalf of our family and my son. And first time at the council meeting, and I appreciate it. I come from a profession where I was 33 years as a Cleveland police officer. My last half of my years, I was an intelligence, organized crime detective, doing a lot of crazy investigations. So I had an opportunity with all of that to meet a lot of people and learn about a lot of personalities, issues, concerns. One of the things that my wife and I have done, we've been in this community now for 4 years, and we love it. It's a good community, and I needed a break. Well, my son, he had some issues and some concerns, and he went home about a year ago. And one of the things that I can remember about him, he was the air traffic controller in the United States Marine Corps. He was top of his class. He was top in the towers. And one of the things he always did was he would always say, "Dad, I want to do like you and Mom, and I want to be able to give back." Because that's one of the things we realize. I've always taught the kids in the family that we're blessed and fortunate. So we believe in paying it forward. And my son, he stuck with it. So I'd say about 2 months after my son went home, his wife, my daughter-in-law, said, "Dad, Nick, he still has that $100 bill that you gave him and told him, don't spend it. That's mad money. You use that for an emergency or for someone who really needs it." He still had it after about 2 years of receiving it in his wallet. Well, we decided to put on and do a scholarship give back. It was a Western Cookout Scholarship in honor of my son, Joseph Colin Nicholas Phillips. That's a tongue twister. Well, what we've done, I talked to the mayor about how do we do this to include a lot of the people in the community to receive a gift, kind of help in doing some things moving forward. Well, we gave away 3 $500 scholarships. And one scholarship was a non-educational scholarship, but a benevolent scholarship to the community in the township of Walton. There's a lot of times, a lot of people don't understand that we have kids that want to learn and move forward and progress and enhance their lifestyle, but we have another group of people who need help, sometimes because of pride and because of their privacy, don't want to speak up on it or say anything about it. And after I learned about the Benevolence Foundation of Walton Hills, I said to the mayor, I would like to give $500. And what we did at the cookout was presented a certificate of the scholarship, And as a support to our citizens, dreams can make anything possible. Believe in the cause and remember hard work, dedication, and faith makes the dream come true. We, the Billups family, support you. And we have left you with a $500 scholarship for the benevolence.
Well, I think we should get a nice picture with us and I always say Joey and Kristen, and we certainly appreciate this. I would like to say, I know when Joe talked about it and, we, having our children go to all different schools, plus, it's just kind of tough. We talked about the benevolent fund, and I know Joe was kind of very happy and was, felt good that there was something he could support on behalf of his son. And we certainly appreciate it, Joe and Kristen, so. And,
Thank you
we'd
very
like to
much.
take a picture with you and,
We just moved, you guys ready to come up here, or what do you want to do?
yeah, what do you
Why
think?
don't all of
I don't
you,
need to
I'll
be
take the
on.
picture, you guys get it, all of you can, council and mayor.
Would you mind taking a
Why don't they
picture
come
since
up
I know
here?
you got some?
Yeah, they have them come up.
Here, I can give you my phone and then I can get it, my phone's charging.
Yeah, have them come back there.
I'm gonna put it in the journal, so that's the whole purpose of
They're gonna see
the,
the mess we've got back here.
or should we go down? I just gotta get my phone too, so. Take a picture with my- Go first. Should have my arm around you, I feel bad, I'm holding. Okay, thank you very much. Yes. Thank you. Oh, yeah, yeah. Does anybody want? to take a
Yeah, I
look?
want to read the, I think you should read the whole thing.
Oh, yeah, I can, yeah, why
Why
don't
don't you read that in the record?
yeah, I can read that in the record too. Why don't we do that?
Oh, here's the folder.
Yeah, why don't I read that in the record?
It's nice to meet you.
Just the fun, right? Thank you very much, very kind of you
Yeah.
guys. Absolutely.
I take her candy all the time.
The Starburst.
I'll be in the sugar crash. I gotta work early.
John, you can come on now if you want. Oh, okay, gotcha.
Mayor, are you going to read this?
Yeah,
certificate?
if you guys want to hang on 1 second. I would like to read the certificate of scholarship in the record, but also I just wanted to make the point that Mr. Billups made and stuff, and I know this council is aware of it and is a part of it, and so is the community, but I think is really what makes Walton Hills kind of special is to have a benevolent fund. As we all know, any one of us in this room can just have a rough time, a little bump in the road, and maybe you just need a little help. Simple as just maybe a few gift cards just to get you or your family through. Or maybe you need an extended, need that, you can go up to the recreation department, and the director of recreation takes care of that. And that information is kept between you and her. I don't know who receives those, and, you know, it's that way. It's just, and I think it's very special, and I'm very proud to be a mayor, along with, I'm sure council is too, and the administration, just to have that, able to have that fund to help our neighbors, and greatly appreciate it again. So I'm going to read it in the record. Mr. Phillips made a very nice little certificate here, and it says Certificate of Scholarship. This certificate is presented to Walton Hills Benevolent Foundation for outstanding work and community support. As a support to our citizens, dreams can make anything possible. Believe in the cause, and remember hard work, dedication, and faith makes the dream come true. We support you. So just want to thank you again. Now you can either stay or go have dinner. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, we'll keep that here. Okay. Well, it's going to be hard to beat that, right?
Top that, yep.
You're
Right.
not good.
Okay, so we're going to move on to our legislation. So we have ordinance 2022-8, property assessments. I know we've discussed both of these in our other two COW meetings. I don't know if we really need to go through them on this COW meeting. We just kind of put them on there, just, excuse me, as a, you know, since we were having the COW meeting, they are on for council. Like to see that passed under suspension, if that's okay, and then we can kind of do that here instead of going through it again in council, if everybody's in agreement with that.
Yep.
And we can even go through who would like to introduce it right now too, or we can do that in the council meeting, or we can do it now if you want. It's up to you guys.
Yes, that's,
Yeah.
I agree, Mr. Mayor.
Okay? Well, does anyone want to me to write it down, or just want to do about it?
I can.
Okay, all right. We got any questions on that, on the tax assessments? Okay, then we got resolution 2022-19, tax rate. And Angela, if you want to just give a briefing on either one of these as we go, instead of me, you're fine too. I know we did talk
you
about
discussed
both of them.
Several times,
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't have anything new to add. Tax rate is the 3 inside mills that were passed several years ago, and nothing's changed with that. We're just recertifying that to the county.
okay. Does council have anything to add to that, or any questions relating to that?
Mr. Mayor, I'll introduce that.
Okay. And if we could get suspension, that would be.
Yep.
Two. Any questions from any residents on that, or even on the first one, item A?
Not
Any-
on the live stream.
Any residents that live streaming? Okay, and then we do have, and I'm gonna need this because I know we did have one question, my phone. What did I do with it? Oh, there it is. Okay, the next item is item C, resolution 2022-20. That was the OPCW grant for 2023. I know there was a question on that about if there was the amounts in the application. And Mr. Gelati did text that to me today, because I was going through the legislation, and I know we had a lot of things going on, and that was one thing that I almost forgot about, but I do have it. For Alexander Phase 3, the construction cost was $644,000. OPWC request was a $250,000 grant. Barclay Estates, bless you. Construction cost was $475,000. With the OPWC request of a $125,000 grant and a $125,000 loan. And from what I understand, it was a 0% Well, he didn't put that in there, but
Yeah.
just in our conversations. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, then Angela just answered that. I know, Mr. Whedon, that was a question you had. So we would like to see that for suspension. As we know, that's a good thing. Hopefully, we'll get both grants, but we'd like to get at least one of them if we score well. I know that we normally don't apply OPWC for secondary roads, but through the suggestion from the engineer and law solicitor from things that are going on in other communities, that it might not be a bad idea to try. So, and the other question was, they are separate. I think we answered it last time. They're two separate applications, so we're not, they're not being scored together. We could get both, or we could get one or the other, or neither. So, but they're not reflective of each other. They're two separate applications.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I'd like to introduce that.
Okay. All right. Did you guys talk about, okay, you're
No,
good?
no,
Oh,
I just
okay.
I just said.
'Cause I think somebody said something earlier in the last meeting, but that was,
No,
Yeah.
that was about for Brian for the last,
Oh,
for the-
okay. All right. Oh, I'm just,
No, I just had one question. Just
yeah, go
wanted-
ahead.
Just for
It's all good.
just for clarification, the 250,000 for Dunham, that's all,
Alexander.
that's for grant. That's a grant.
You mean Alexander?
Alexander, yes.
Yes, yes. Yes, there's no loan in that one.
And
Just-
then there's still the potential for Cuyahoga County
Correct.
for another portion.
Another portion of that. Okay. Any questions from our one resident that's here, or any residents that are watching, or? Okay. We got item D, Resolution 2022-21, Cuyahoga County All Hazard Mitigation Plan. Now, the deadline for that is November 18th. So we do have a little time on that. Council wants to pass it under suspension. There's no problem.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes,
I'd like to introduce that.
okay. Okay,
And I would like to introduce that for suspension, so we can,
okay. Clean things up.
yes.
Thank you. Then we have item E, Resolution 2022, Property Tax Advances. Angela, I'll let you kind of, if there's anything to say to that,
That
or?
is just to reiterate that the county will still advance us on our distributions of property taxes. So instead of receiving two lump sums in a year in arrears, we will receive smaller distributions throughout the year, and then they shore it up when it's time for the two.
Okay. Yes, go ahead.
No, I'll introduce it.
Okay, Mr. Whedon will introduce that. Any questions on that for council? For our residents, or any residents that are live streaming?
Nothing on live stream.
Okay. Then we have item F, Resolution 2022-23, Community Parks, Recreation, and Conservation Project Grant.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
that was the one that I requested Councilman Spitznagel introduce,
Oh, okay.
since he was the one that had done the work on the grant.
Why, I was getting it mixed up with the Barclay Estates one, okay.
I did all the work on Barclay Estates too.
So it's your fault that it's like that, huh?
So I think you're introducing
the work
that
on
one.
the
I think you're, okay.
Yes.
Any questions related to the Resolution 2022-23 for our grant? For our park? Okay. Then we do have item G. Any questions before I move on from residents, or?
Nothing on the
Okay.
live stream.
for the park, nothing there?
No.
Okay. Then we have item G, Resolution 2022-24, the appointment of Michael Cummings to the BZA,
Mr.
the
Mayor,
zoning board. Yes,
I'd like to introduce that, please.
you'd like to introduce that? You can do that.
And I believe that should go under suspension so we can get him in with the next zoning board meeting as soon as possible.
Mr. Alexander. You've seen Rob requesting. I think we should redo it, okay? Just because maybe it was missed. They did contact the again, I don't know. You know, you can, I guess there's a lot of reasons out there. Should rebid it. That's
I agree, Mr. Mayor, that it should go out for rebid.
right.
I agree as well.
Specifications on our part, or was everything exactly the same?
I was, yeah, we, in fact,
Changes in the specifications for the original, bid.
3 years, we've only been receiving one bid, which was the same contractor.
Right.
You know, because residents ask, you know, I said, well, we've received one bid in an 18-month period,
Right.
you know.
So we have,
The only, I think I just have the letter from Rob. I don't think I have the exact quote. No, that might be the first one.
My report was correct, I believe.
Not only is that an important truck for the winter operation, they use it extensively in fall. That's one of their main trucks for like fall cleanup, you know, chipping and everything else, so.
so I'm not sure where your discrepancy was, if it was too much.
Well, thank you, Angela.
22,000.
Gotcha.
So that's a
Thank
good thing, so.
I do have one other thing, I'll put it out there now
Yes,
for
go
this
ahead.
meeting. So as we know, it's, and again, February 3rd, really soon. So I'm working with Stifle, I've been in and out a little bit, and I wasn't at the last meeting, if there anything, you know, pertaining, obviously probably to infrastructure, if there was gonna be anything, but.
So-
I think we're gonna have anything new.
I'm aware of, and I think you guys are aware of it too, would be if we did anything with,
But for the remainder of the portion,
well, that would probably be the best. No, we were, I think Barclay just came out of the road program, that's the next, and I think you might have talked about in your infrastructure meeting last year, or whatever, this year, beginning of this year. But,
So Mayor, one question there, I mean, with,
you know, maybe there's gonna be different opportunities there.
Councilman Spitznagel.
Yes.
Councilman Whedon.
yes,
So disappointed it keeps going in and out, and there with one leg up. And somebody say, is it working? Okay, so let's start the regular council meeting. Are we ready? Okay. Like to welcome everybody to the regular council meeting of Tuesday, September 20th, 2022 at 8:52 PM. Okay. Second order of business is Pledge of Allegiance. And to the republic for which it's. Okay, we have a moment of, can I have a moment of silence, please, for our deceased residents, Raymond Colas, Dennis Shamrock, Elizabeth Coleman, Doris Hanslet, active military personnel.
Councilman Nielsen.
Here.
Councilwoman Brenner Miller.
Here.
Councilwoman Allen.
Here.
Council.
Okay, I do have, any persons having business before council?
Free in reviewing their, as far as their healthcare needs go, what their budget is and what the options out there that are available for them to find the best fit. It'll be about a 45-minute presentation with some time for questions at the end. Side of a work environment, like they're retired or they're learn about travel to have one-on-one meetings and discuss your personal needs and offer you end up picking, that's where his compensation comes in.
Good to know.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good night.
Getting it, it is available. Okay. Okay, total revenue was 15,580. Now we can move through the legislation.
2022-8 for suspension.
And 2022-19, of resolution 2022-19.
Second.
Yes.
Okay, resolution passed. Thank you, everybody, 5-0. Item C, resolution 2022-20,
Hills and declaring an emergency.
Second.
second by Jennifer Allen on the suspension. Vote on the suspension.
Second.
Second by Jennifer Allen. Vote. Item passed, 5-0. Thank you, everybody. Item D, resolution 2022.
Second.
Second by Mr. Whedon. Vote on the adoption.
Councilman Nielsen?
Yes.
Councilwoman Brenner Miller?
Yes.
Councilwoman,
And declaring an emergency.
Second on the suspension.
Second.
Okay, vote on the suspension.
Councilman Nielsen?
Yes.
Councilwoman Brenner Miller?
Yes.
Councilwoman Allen?
Yes.
Councilman Whedon?
Yes.
Councilman Spitznagel.
Yes.
Okay, suspension passed.
Mayor Colgraf, members of council, I'd like to ask for adoption of resolution.
Yes. We have a good recreation committee in 22-23, a resolution authorizing the mayor to Walton Hills, Thomas Young Park.
Motion passed.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I'd like to ask for adoption of resolution number 2.
Yes.
Councilman
To
Spitznagel.
the board as quickly as possible with what we have going on. So that's why I'm asking for the suspension. Confirming the appointment of Michael Cummins as a member of the Board of Zoning Appeals of the.
I will take Mr. Nielsen. Councilman, right, well, I don't know. Councilman Nielsen?
Yes.
I'm a feisty little person. Councilwoman Brenner Miller?
Yes.
Councilwoman Allen?
Yes,
I'll feel the same way to get that taken.
$20,000.
A lot of use. That's a re-advertise for the senior snow plowing. We did put it out. We received no bids. The suggestion from, let's hope we get somebody so we can continue to offer that service to our residents as you know. Angela, I know just
Said he had no other business.
everybody that day is here. Appreciate Angela helping us with the transition because she's
Accepted a position at a nonprofit. It's a part-time position. That's 32 hours a week. I have 1 day off. Posting will hopefully be going up in the next day or so. I've just been trying to mesh some things with our old posting and some other postings from other cities for the mayor and Lori to review. It's not to hide anything or be trying to do it and able to respond immediately less. But you could certainly anticipate still
seen him at one of
our
your
tax association.
tax
What a meeting.
association, and he was, and he felt like Angela that sell at that time to us, and I didn't want to say it from Brian, was to, we would,
Is suggesting some action by,
Specifically for tax, we're gonna post for fiscal officer, so that would be someone to be looking for a full-on tax administrator, and we certainly have to do budget. I'm gonna get the budget started with everybody for sure. Nothing would transfer till July because everything needs to go in again for this next tax season.
An email,
Sure.
maybe, and we can decide then.
Okay.
that's a good
That
idea.
work?
That's a good idea. Just kind of want to,
Pressured, like, we're supposed to be making a decision tonight.
not at all.
no, you don't have to
That's
feel that
like
way.
making me anxious.
Don't get anxious, we're good. Is there a motion for adjournment?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion for adjournment.
Okay, make your motion.